Henrik Ibsen, a life sketch. Henrik Ibsen belongs to the family of businessmen and sea captains. While his father was a well-to-do merchant dealing chiefly in lumber. Ibsen was born in 1828 in Skien, a town in the south of Norway. Three brothers and a sister were born after him, but Henrik was the only member of his family to show promise. When he was 8 years old, his father's business failed and the family retired to a country house. Ibsen bitterly recalled how their friends, eager to dine and drink as guests of the affluent merchant, forsook all connections with the Ibsens when they lost their financial standings. Although the young Ibsen showed talent as a painter, his family was too poor to allow him to study art. Neither could they afford to train him for his chosen profession in medicine. When he was 15, his father sent him to Grimstad, a small provincial town south of Skien. Here he became an apothecary apprentice, this next best thing to medicine. In the first 3 years of the Grimstad life, Ibsen lived entirely alone, too uncommunicative to make friends and too poor to seek entertainments. He read voraciously, particularly in contemporary poetry and in theology. Eventually, he was the center of a small circle of young men, and during this time began to write poetry, learning Latin in order to prepare for the university. Ibsen studies Cicero and became deeply interested in the character of Catiline, the agitator and revolutionary who was eventually assassinated. His first play, a historical drama in verse, was an attempt to explain this elusive character. Catiline, however, when published at the private expense of one enthusiastic friend, received no public notice and few copies were sold. After 6 dark years in the hostile atmosphere of this provincial Norwegian village, Ibsen, by extreme economy and privation, had saved enough money to leave for the capital Christiania, Oslo. Hoping to study at the university, he enrolled in a student factory, a popular name given to an irregular school which coached students for the entrance examination. Here, Ibsen first met his lifelong rival and contemporary Bjorn Bjornsson, who was to be unknown in the future, along with Ibsen as a national poet of Norway. Found deficient in two subjects, Ibsen failed to enter the university or at this time as well. Catiline was rejected by the Christiania theatre, but his The Warriors Barrow was accepted and performed 3 times in 1850. At the period of Ibsen's youth, Norway experienced a nationalist awakening. The new literary generation, after 400 years of Danish rule, 1397 to 1888, sought to revive the glories of Norwegian history and medieval literature. The Middle Ages were glorified as well because the Romantic movement was in full swing throughout Europe. Thus, when Ole Bull the Great violinist founded a Norse theatre at Bergen, the project met with enthusiastic approval from all the youthful idealists eager to subvert the influence of Danish culture. At a benefit performance to raise money for the new venture, Ibsen presented the prologue, a poem glorifying Norway past, which moved Ole Bull to appoint him theatre poet and manager of the Bergen Theatre. This position launched Ibsen on his dramatic career, staging more than 150 plays, including works by Shakespeare and the French dramatist scribe. Ibsen gained as much practical experience in stagecraft as that posed by Shakespeare and Malory. In addition to his managerial position, the poet was obliged to produce one original play a year, although his The Warriors Barrow and St. John's Night met with failure. The critics proved of Lady Inger of Ostrot 1855 and The Feast at Solhag 1856. In this same year, the 28 years old Ibsen became engaged to Susanna Thorsen, a girl of strong personality and independent judgment, and the marriage took place 2 years later.